What's up guys, Intentional back with yet another video, and today I figured we would go over our pre-raid best in slot for the Burning Crusade. Now the pre-raid is a bit different for this expansion, or at least different from classic WoW. There's actually quite a bunch of gear that is really similar in spell power, but may differ in crit, hit, or haste. So if you preferred one stat over another, well, you could stack that if you really wanted to. However, I'm going to go for a build that is overall good, and I'm aiming for 10% hit with it. So without any further ado, let's just hop into it. So starting out with our Helm, we're actually going to be going for the Spell Strike Hood. It's a super solid item, and its set bonus has a chance to increase our spell damage by 92 for 10 seconds whenever one of our harmful spells lands. However, it does require 350 tailoring to get the set bonus, but I would highly recommend people go tailoring. The Spell Strike set is very good and is considered by many to be best in slot all the way up to potentially tier 5. Now some good alternatives would be the Druidic Helmet of Second Sight, the Circlet of the Starcaller, Magnified Moon Specs, or the Windscale Hood. Moving on to your neck piece, I'm going with the Brooch of Heightened Potential because it's just a solid neck piece all around. It has nice stats in spell damage, crit, and hit. Some alternatives would be Natasha's Ember Necklace or Hydra Fang Necklace. For our shoulders, we have the Spaulders of the Torn Heart. Now these shoulders are really nice and they have a crap ton of spell power. However, there are alternatives, such as Mantle of Three Terrors or Elekide Spaulders. For our backs, we have Sethic Oracle Cloak, a very solid cloak. Some other cloaks would be Cloak of Entropy, Cloak of Woven Energy, or even Shawl of Shifting Probabilities. For our chest piece, we are going with Spellfire Robes. Now, I know some people are already in the comments saying, no, you shouldn't go for this, you should be going for the Windhawk set from Leatherworking. Now, I think they are pretty similar, however, I think Spellfire wins it over, but that is a whole video itself where we can discuss these two sets and the bonuses of each of them. Regardless, this is what I'm going for in our pre-raid best in slot, and there are reasons as to why I'm doing it. Just keep an eye out for that video, and if it is out, I'll have it linked in the corner right now. Now, some alternatives would be, of course, the Windhawk chest, Robe of Crimson Order, Antarite's Robe, or even Warp and Fuse Drape. Moving on to our bracers, the best are actually going to be Windhawk bracers because of the 16 spell crit rating. The best alternatives would be Bracers of Havoc, Shattrath Wraps, or even Mana Infused Wrist Guards. For our gloves, we have of course the Spellfire gloves. Now the best alternatives would be Gloves of Oblivion, Gloves of the Dreadwatcher, Starlight Gauntlets, or Gloves of Pandemonium. Now for the belt, we have the Spellfire belt, and this will actually complete our set to get that bonus of 7% of our total intellect converting into spell power. Now some good alternatives would be the Windhawk belt, the Belt of Depravity, Sash of Serpentra, or Blackwelt belt. Moving on to our pants, we have the Spell Strike pants, which will complete the set, which means that we get that bonus on harmful spell lands to get an increase of 92 spell damage for 10 seconds. Some good alternatives would be Breeches of the Oculus, Kurenai Kilt, Huramad's Leggings of the Third Coin, Trousers of Oblivion, or Kagar's Guilt of Abjuration. Moving on to your boots, we're going with the Sigil Lace boots. Now these boots are super solid, although they are kind of lacking in a little spell power compared to the others. However, the spell crit more than makes up for it. Some alternatives would be the Shattrath jumpers, the Shimmering Azure boots, or the extravagant boots of Malice. Okay, now for our rings, the absolute best is going to be Ashen's Gift and Seer's Signet. The alternatives would be the Sparking Arcanite ring, the Coral band, Ringo's band, or even the Mana Storm band. Now for the trinkets, you want to aim for Quagmarine's Eye and Icon of the Silver Crescent. These trinkets are just super solid, and Quagmarine's Eye is one of the few haste items that you can obtain during the beginning of TBC. And although it's not a pop trinket and you have to rely on random procs, it's simply worth it and it's just nice for quick bursts of damage. Some alternatives would be Ziri's Gift, Shafar's Nexus Horn, or Scryer's Blood Gem. Now for your idol, there really isn't a best overall if I'm going to be honest. You kind of want to get all three and interchange them. So we have Idol of the Moon Goddess, Idol of the Avenger, and Idol of the Raven Goddess. Now admittedly, you are going to be having the Moon Goddess on most of the time. However, if you are going to be using Wrath in certain encounters more so than Starfire, then switch to the Avenger. And for the Idol of the Raven Goddess, well, I can see some guilds requiring a Moonkin to actually have this to help increase the crit chance of everyone in that Moonkin's group. Either way, make sure to get all three of these so you can switch them in and out when they are needed. Okay, last but not least is our weapon. So with a main hand / offhand build, you will be getting more spell power but losing some crit. However, I think this is overall the better of the two. And the absolute best would be Gavel of Unearthed Secrets paired up with the Talisman of Caligos. An alternative for your main hand would be the Ruin Saw and Dagger. Some alternatives for your offhand would be Lamp of Peaceful Radiance or Starheart Lamp. Now the best stuff would be Turok's Shadow. This stuff is dumb strong and has a crap ton of crit, and as an added bonus, it looks amazing. Some good alternatives would be the Warp Staff of Arcanium, Amir's Impulse Taser, or if you want the Ador, then you can pick up Achanai's Staff. So all in all, these are the stats you get with everything we chose. So total base spell power is going to be 741. We get a total of 211 spell crit, or to simplify, 9.5% crit. For hit, we have 80 spell hit rating, and to simplify that, it's 6.3% hit. Now with our talents, we do hit that 10% hit mark we were looking to aim for. However, I know for some people out there this might be on the lower end. Luckily, we had a ton of alternative items with hit on them that could easily be switched out. We also get a total of 174 intellect, which with our Spellfire set bonus gives us an extra 12 spell power. Now that might not seem like a lot, but that's just from the gear itself. We didn't even consider our base intellect or any buffs. For example, as of right now in Classic WoW, we get 100 intellect base as a Night Elf Druid at level 60. Adding that 100 intellect onto that 174 would actually convert it into 19 spell power. And then if you get buffed with Arcane Brilliance from a mage with another 31 intellect, or even our own Gift of the Wild with 12 intellect, that would give us a total of 317, which converts to 22 spell power. And that was using Classic WoW buffs / base stats. We didn't even dive into the actual buffs of TBC. So hopefully this shows just how strong that set bonus can really be. Now these stats are just based on, well, the base stats of the gear. We didn't even bring in enchants or even gems, because I think it's going to be different for many people out there. I think TBC is going to allow for a lot more wiggle room when it comes to stats and what individual players would like to do. You see a little bit of this in Nax or Phase 6 of Classic WoW, where you can choose to go more hit, crit, or even spell power. It certainly isn't that much of a change, but the change happens there, and I think TBC just builds up on that. So I'm going to go over gems / enchants in its own video, and all the different things you can go with it. However, I think the base stats show how good pre-BIS can be, and kind of gives us a general feeling on how the stats are going to be looking in TBC. Now before I go, let's for fun compare it to the best in slot for us balanced druids in Classic WoW. I'm not going to list all the gear, but here's everything for BIS. Now Classic best in slot provides us with 618 spell power, 9% crit, along with 10% hit, and a whopping 136 intellect. I mean, just comparing them side by side, it's kind of crazy how close the base stats are. I mean, this isn't adding in enchants, gems, or even set bonuses, this is just pure raw stats from the gear itself. Also, remember that you could go for different gear pieces in Phase 6 of Classic, so if you want to push more crit, well, then you could. If you wanted more spell power, then you could push more spell power. If you want to focus on hit, well, then you can focus on hit. This was just the overall best set in Classic and didn't focus on one particular stat, but simply a good number in all of them. So it's not really a one-to-one comparison, but all in all, they are pretty similar, and it's good to know that most of your gear will not instantly be replaced and will more than likely last through dungeons at level 70. But anyhow, I hope this helps someone out there. If you want to see more from me, then hit that sub button. If you like the video, then hit that like button. It really does help me as a content creator, and I hope you guys have a good one. Peace!